You're back here on the Gill Connections podcast. I'm so humbled to be your host, Mike Cunningham, National Business Development Manager here at Gill, probably better known as the Twitter guy and the podcast guy. And maybe every once in a while I sell a pole vault pit or something like that. I try just to keep my bosses happy. But I'm so glad that you are here. Man, I am so humbled. When I look at the stats, man, you guys keep coming back. I keep getting emails and tweets and stuff of, you guys talking about the guests we have. Man, that just it humbles me so much that we can provide value for you with the guests that we have, and that we can continue our mission of uplifting and honoring track and field coaches around the country and sometimes even around the world. Today, we're going to go real far from home base. As you might know, we're in Champaign, Illinois. We're going to go all the way over to Iowa, and we're not even going to get deep into Iowa with today's guest. So awesome. He's one of our guys that has been on the list for a long time, so I'm pumped to actually have him here today to get on with it. Help me welcome from the University of Dubuque, the wise, the wonderful Mr. Evan Gerish. Evan, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. Glad to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. I appreciate. I was waiting for during that intro for you to be touching buttons and you to disconnect on me. No, okay, good. I
No,
appreciate it.
took care of all that before we recorded.
That's right. Exactly. It's funny to me, when in today's flat world, meaning, we can talk to anybody, anywhere, at almost any time. I bet you I could get in the car right now, and I'm at your place, not 3 hours, maybe close to 2 hours. It's not that far from Champaign to Dubuque.
We're about 5 minutes across the river.
Yeah, just right across there. I think I always go that way when I'm going to Drake relays and such. I think I head that way. Love it. Love it. Well, Evan, man, let's hop into it, man. Really excited to get to know you and get to know your journey in this great profession. My friend, when you think about where track and field starts for you, assuming you were an athlete, but hey, we have definitely learned you don't have to be an athlete to be a great coach. Where in the world does track and field start for you?
Man, I would say it started at the very beginning for me. I was the kid who had the annual race with his uncle. Every Christmas, we would do like a driveway race, and until about 9 years old, he would beat me. And then about 9, 10 years old, I started to beat him. And the whole time, I was the fast kid on the soccer field, outrunning the other kids towards the ball and then kicking it in the wrong direction, while the other kids just chased it as a group, and then same story.
Okay.
I got one story from baseball. When I was in Little League, I passed a kid on the base paths because I hit an inside the park home run.
Oh, on your team, you overcame.
Yeah, and he was too slow, and he was on like second, and I hit the ball deep, and there wasn't a fence or something. So by the time they got the ball home, I went around him, and they called me out, and I was all upset because they hadn't gone over that rule for sure.
Yeah, no, you know why they haven't gone over that rule, Evan? Because
It was
no
a
one does
rarity.
that.
Yes, exactly.
That's like when someone, says, "Well, no one's ever told me about that rule in track and field." It's like, well, first of all, we have a million rules. Second of all, that never
Yeah,
happens. Why did you do
really
that?
hasn't come up before. Yeah. So then
What was your
after that, no, sorry, go ahead.
no, you're good. This annual race with Uncle, I love that. Was there a was track a part of your family's life? Like, did Uncle run track, or was this just a, Evan, line up, I'm gonna beat you because I'm Uncle Rick or whatever?
Yeah, it was exactly like that. So my dad played baseball in college. My mom played volleyball. Both of them played at Alma,
Oh
college
yeah.
in Michigan. Yep.
Hmm.
And so athletics is definitely in the family. But I wanted higher challenges, and so he was an athletic guy, and definitely a favorite of mine. And so yeah, we would line it up and go to town, and he would showboat when I was young. You know what I mean? He would throw the high steps, Deion Sanders style, at the last little bit, and showboat. And then finally, by the time I came to be beating him, I'm showboating him and telling him
Nice.
how, you know what I mean? So all in great fun.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, he kept getting, the problem is he didn't calculate this. He kept getting older. You kept getting older, but you were heading towards your prime. He was heading
Going in
off
the
of his
wrong
prime.
direction. Yeah, exactly.
It all met at ninth grade. What about any kind of when did like organized track and field start?
Yeah, sure. So then I turned 12, and in seventh grade, you could come out for the track team. Seventh and eighth graders could do middle school track where I'm
Where
from.
where we at? Yeah.
Yeah, we're in Northville, Michigan, so west of Detroit.
Okay.
Just getting into the suburbs of Detroit.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense why
Um,
mom and dad played at Alma then. 'Cause I get just stuck. I'm like, oh, you're from Iowa because you're at Dubuque. Not realizing people move, right? Okay, so you're from Michigan. That's why they played. I shouldn't say that's why they played at Alma, but that makes more sense that they played at Alma.
Yes.
Okay, keep going.
Yep.
Keep going. Thank you.
Southeast Michigan, born and raised. So you turn 12 years old. Seventh and eighth graders ran the track team. I did high jump and I did the 100 and did the 4x1 and one of the faster kids on the team. So I really enjoyed it. I've been looking forward to competing in track ever since you get to middle school. And it's like, well, sixth graders can't do it. But once you get in seventh grade, you know what I mean? Kind of dangling that carrot. And so boy, was I excited to get started in seventh grade and do that.
Well,
and I haven't stopped since seventh grade. This is like my 23rd consecutive season.
why track? Why, Dad, I mean, you obviously have a variety there. Dad was a baseball player. You did a little bit of baseball. Mom's a volleyball player.
Yeah.
Why track?
It's just, I sort of gravitated towards what I was good at. So as a kid, I did swimming, I did soccer, just sort of the younger kid activities. And then I did basketball in the winter and then baseball in the spring. And then as you get further into middle school, it was football, basketball, baseball essentially. And then you get into high school and you're playing football, basketball in the winter, track in the spring, because now you're excited to do that. You can do track middle school, but you could also play baseball. And I got cut from the baseball team.
Oh.
So now you're doing track, football, and basketball. And then you get cut from the basketball team. So now you're doing football and track. And then you get to be a junior, you start getting some college offers and you start realizing mortality on the football field. I was about 6'2", 145 pounds.
Yeah.
Media guide 170, but we all knew that wasn't true. And so, yeah, by senior year, I had dropped football. I worked out with the cross country team, didn't compete, but then did indoor track full go and then outdoor track full go as a senior.
Now, without sitting you down on my psychiatry couch here, just knowing Dad, baseball player, you mentioned getting cut from baseball, was there any and Evan, as we talked about before we record, you tell whatever story you want to or not to here. I'm getting a little personal. I
Sure.
typically stay away from that, but I'm just curious. My curiosity is just getting me here. Was there any on your side? I could see a young kid, your dad, man. Come on, was there any like embarrassment or like even maybe like fear of like telling Dad, like, Dad, I got cut from your sport, and or vice versa? Was there any like I'm kind of trying to figure out like maybe what kind of dad was here? Was he the hardcore, I can't believe you got cut from baseball, we practice every summer, blah blah blah? I just know that your sport is who your identity is, and so his is in baseball a little bit. How'd that go down when you got cut from baseball?
Yeah, for sure. So fun fact, my dad's got the NCAA record for pitching. He threw 17 innings in one game one time.
Shut up.
Yeah,
really?
That'll never be beaten ever, because people are never going to let the pitchers throw 17 innings.
Crazy. What a cool fact, man.
Wild fact.
Yeah.
Really wild.
One day I'm going to put together like a trivia game from all the podcasts we've had. That's your dad holds the NCAA record, 17 innings.
Yep.
Holy crap. Does he, this may, I always wonder sometimes if I'm about to ask a question that's going to embarrass myself here. Like, did his right arm fall off? Like, is your dad one-armed?
Sure. No, he's got his right arm. He kind of walks like this a little bit, though.
Does he really?
If you know what I'm saying, a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, no, he Kalamazoo 1980. He got 2 outs into the 17th before they pulled him.
Oh, so he didn't even get to finish the game?
No, they lost 1-0. I think he let one guy on, they pulled him, and then the relief pitcher let the run in.
Dude, I'm win or lose, I'm finishing that game. I'm not the guy who's going to do 99.9% of that game.
I know, you got to imagine either his arm was truly falling off, or like there was like a serious argument between him and the coach.
That's what I'm saying. I'm underarming, I'm dribbling. I don't care. I'm losing the game. If that's fine, but I'm finishing the game. Yeah. Oh my gosh, your dad. That's amazing. Okay, sorry. Fun fact. That's awesome. Did he beat you when you got cut from track?
Yeah, sure. Good
baseball.
Question. No. So I got 3 siblings. We all gravitated to our own individual sport. So my oldest sister ended up playing lacrosse at Ferris State. Wow. My second oldest sister ended up playing volleyball at Catawba College, which is in North Carolina.
Yeah.
My brother ended up pitching for Hillsdale. So my dad definitely got that baseball fix with my little brother. So especially once I started really gravitating towards track and started beating some guys around town, it became, I guess, clear to him that my spring sport was track.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Did your does your little brother ever complain about, or he ever complain about like pitching 4 innings and your dad was like, whatever, lightweight?
Absolutely. Yeah. I would say they had far more of a player coach father son
Sure.
interaction just because of the sport of baseball.
Yeah.
There's unconfirmed rumors that my dad was actually calling the pitches my brother's junior and senior year of high school,
So
and that the head
funny.
coach knew it and like couldn't really do
What are
anything
you gonna do,
because
right?
he's on the mound. Yeah.
It's, oh my goodness. Okay, so tell me about your high school career, your relationship with coach. How did all that go down?
Yeah, yeah. So you get to freshman year of high school, really excited to come out for the track team. Um, the varsity list goes out for the meet, the first meet, and there's two hurdlers on it, and you can have three. And so I was a sprinter and a high jumper, and I hadn't really considered doing hurdles before, but my buddy was doing it, and so I figured, I really wanted to be varsity, and so I took that third spot, and I did just as well as you would probably expect. I five steps through every single one of them, 22 seconds, something like that,
Hmm.
finished. But then me and my buddy, we really went to work. We didn't really have an event coach, so we kind of learned and did it by ourselves.
Okay.
Um, and then junior year, we were able to bring a guy in. My dad met some guy like at a bar, and he had hurdled at Western Michigan,
All
and
right.
he was like, "Yeah, I'll coach him up." And so that was for sure better than nothing. And it
Right.
turns out he did a great job with us. Um,
Nice.
yeah, we ended up having a pretty solid hurdle. I don't want to say dynasty, but like
Yeah.
squad for like the next 4 to 7 years.
Wow.
After
What
that, it was
what
pretty
what year
cool.
did you graduate high school?
2008, 2008.
Okay. So you've got, actually, no, I forget sometimes. I think like when you said oh wait, the first thing I thought was like, oh, well, you had YouTube and stuff. Actually, YouTube started around 06, 07 and was
Right
garbage
there.
when it
Yeah.
first started. So you kind of really didn't like today, if a kid doesn't have a coach or wants to get extra instruction. I mean, I can go online right now and billion videos of hurdling and how to hurdle and all that kind of stuff. You
Yeah.
didn't really have that back then. So what did before you got this bar coach? Love that, by the way. Um, what did you guys did you do anything like did you go to the library? Did you
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Google? I mean, Google was around then. What did you do, if anything,
For
at that point?
sure. One of the most formative experiences I would say in my track development was going to the University of Michigan track camp and
Oh
clinic.
yeah.
So they had one in the summer. I think Fred LaPlante was running it back then.
Hmm.
There's a name drop. And then, boy, I had two of the, listen to these names of these clinicians that were students there, Gabe Sanders and Tiffany O'Feely.
Oh
They
wow.
were the
Yeah.
two athletes that were running my section of that clinic.
Yeah.
So I got to spend like an inordinate amount of time with Tiffany. I did a lot of watching. I did a lot of asking questions. I did a lot of learn by doing.
Yeah.
And I really came off that clinic like as a hurdler. Hurdling was my identity at that point.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
really felt like that was where I meant to be athletically. Did all these ball sports. Worked out to relative levels of success, but track and field and especially hurdling was like really where I found myself.
No matter what part of the time frame, whether it's in the 80s, the 90s, in the aughts, the teens, the 20s now, in 2020, in 2000, every coach. It's funny how we think we're unique today. This has been going on forever. We will complain that these young kids, they don't know who the good athletes are because we're adults. We pay attention to stuff. Kids don't. They got a billion other things they're doing. Their PlayStations, math class, girls and boys, things like that. Were you so when you so little kindred spirit? I'm
Mm.
a hurdler. I fell in love with the hurdles in high school, and my very first email address ever was hurdle love. I mean, my license plate says hurdle. I mean, I have tattoos of hurdles. I'm in it. You cut me in hurdles, skateboards come out, right?
Nice.
So I'm down with it. Were you the type in high school? Were you the type once you kind of fell in love with this hurdling? And by the way, you mentioned Gabe Sanders. Shout out, Gabe. Gabe was one of the first five. I think you might have been number four, number five guest we ever had on the podcast. He's an OG here on the Gill Connections podcast. So love Gabe and appreciate his trust way back in the day. Um, did you? how much did you get into, like, oh, back then maybe Terrence Trammell and Alan Johnson, and maybe even
Mhm.
your local, you're growing up in Michigan, so maybe even like, oh, the state champion is from Detroit and his name is Johnny or whatever, or did you like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do hurdling, I'm gonna figure out how to hurdle, but I don't know who the hell just won the Olympics.
Yeah, I would say I was on the extreme end of the spectrum as far as people who would nerd out and know who everybody was. So back when I was competing, there were I mean, again, like you said, YouTube was brand new.
Mhm.
My favorite athlete of all time is and always will be Jeremy Warner
Oh, come on, bro.
from Baylor. You know, it was like right in my time of my development years. He was at
Got it.
Baylor crushing it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I had short hair. I like to wear sunglasses. I kind of modeled myself after him a little bit, sort of like Dominic Raiola, or not Dominic. What's his kid's name? Dylan and
The
Patrick
Nebraska
Mahomes.
guy, yeah, that's
Yeah, where
weird.
you're like,
That's
he's for
that's
sure
weird
doing
though.
him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
just weird. That's a little too far though. Yeah, I'm with you
yeah.
though. Yeah, yeah,
All you needed with Warner was to be a thin white dude with short hair and glasses, and I
yeah.
fit all those
You
boxes.
got to run the quarter. Come on, you got to go
Yeah,
hard. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Um, and so you had YouTube, and so I was watching that. But then there were also two websites. There was DieStat that was put on by a guy named John
Yeah,
Dye.
John Dye, baby.
Yep,
Yeah,
throwback there.
yeah,
And then Mishtrack.org is run by a
yeah.
guy. I want to drop this right, Jeff Holliba. He's a guy
Uh-huh.
who wrote a book called How to Race the Mile.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's a definite Michigan legend. But yes, I would say I knew to the point of like weirding out other athletes at the meet. I'd be like, "Oh, you're like Nicholas McCampbell. You're at Cass Tech. You run 14.4. Like, good luck." And they'd be like, "Who the heck are you?"
That's great.
Yeah, yeah, definitely
Um,
was at the extreme end of that.
oh, first again, another shout out. It's we're on episode 350 something here, so we've had lots of people on the podcast. Uh, but it's still, there's a lot of coaches out there. Still got a lot to get to, right? But I do love when someone who's affected your life has been on the podcast. Jeremy Warner has been on the podcast as well. So shout out to Jeremy. Love him. Have you had a chance to meet him? You kind of grew up a fan of it. Did you ever? Oh,
No, no,
one
I
day.
had the dream of mine. He's over at what he's coaching at Texas high school right
Yeah,
now.
Lancaster.
Yeah,
Yeah. So sorry, this has nothing to do with you, Evan, but we're gonna say it. So he's at Lancaster. Jeremy Warner, freaking legend, right? Another coach at Lancaster is Lakedra Hayes, who was a stud, also been on the podcast, runner for Texas A&M. Their AD, does the name Christy Gaines remind you of anybody? She was an Olympian. In
no,
fact, was the many times. I'm sure I'm wrong in some stats here. World ranked number one in the women's 100. Many times on our Team USA Olympic teams and relays. A Stanford alum, one of the greatest women sprinters ever. And she's their AD. That those three people alone are at one high school. Yeah, good luck, Texas. Yeah, good
yeah, you
luck.
got to think that they're definitely track focused.
Yeah, yeah, right. Okay. Hey, insider tip for you here, Evan. When we get done with this podcast, you're going to go on Twitter and you're going to find the TTFCA account. That's the Texas Track and Field Coaches Association. Uh,
Okay.
they are awesome, amazing, amazing people. You're going to DM them and you're going to say, "Hey, I see you have a clinic, the winter clinic in January. You got to make sure it works for your schedule. It's like the
Yes.
first weekend in January. Do you need any speakers?" And they always do. They're always needing speakers and stuff like that, right? And you're going to get a speaking engagement to come down to Waco, and Jeremy will be there, and I'm going to introduce you to Jeremy, and it's going to be freaking awesome, man. I
That's
love,
gonna
yeah.
that would be my. I do not get starstruck. I've met plenty of celebrities during my life, and that would be like the one time where I would be like, "Ha, ha, nice to meet
No,
you."
he is. I get it. Trust me, I get it. Jeremy is just one of the most down to earth. He's just a cool dude, bro. I just love him to death. So when we get done, TTFCA, say, hey, Mike Cunningham said I should reach out. I don't know if you guys need any speakers. Let's see if we can't make that happen. That'd be a lot of fun coming up in January. That'll be a good time.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
Okay, love that. You mentioned something else I was going to bring up. Anyway, okay, cool. Love that. What is we get this barstool hurdles coach from Western Michigan who used to have men's track and field, needs to bring that back, by the way. What did that I mean, how much of a impact did that unleash of like, oh, now I have a coach, someone who's actually paying attention to me while I'm trying to hurdle.
He was more of a guide than a mentor, I would say. He would throw some drills at us. We definitely thought we knew the direction we were going in. And we had this other kid who was younger than he's actually this kid right there.
Oh, okay.
His name's Ali Arastu. He was 2 years younger than me in school, and my first foray really into coaching was picking him out of the hallway and going, I don't know who you are, but you look like a hurdler, and we need a shuttle hurdle team, and you're going to be
Nice.
on it. And he was naive enough to go, okay. And so we brought him on, and basically me and my buddy, who we boy, I got a lot of stories going on right at once. I had a buddy that that I trained with, and we were about the same speed. He was just ahead of me. I PR'd 14 low, he PR'd 13 high.
Yeah. Wow.
And so
Really?
just a little bit ahead of me every time, and really like drove me to try to get better.
Yeah.
But then when we brought him on, and Ali obviously ended up being better than we did. I think he set the indoor school record of Michigan, 46.5 or something like that by the end of it. Um,
Wow.
yeah, we definitely were fortunate in having training partners that pushed us, and we were definitely aware of it at the time.
Wow. So you were 14 low, your buddy's under 14. I mean, that alone, there's people that go through their coaching careers and don't have one of those. So two of you on the same team, that's pretty. So you guys were a lot of most of the meets you're going to, you're going 1 and 2 for crying out loud.
Yeah, yeah,
Most, not
definitely.
all, but most. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of meets where we went 1-2, and a lot of meets where like I didn't get the trophy. And my coach's big speech, like at the banquet, was like, "You guys don't understand that Evan would be the best hurler in the region if he wasn't like didn't have his partner living down the street from him, just beating
Yeah.
him every single race." Yeah,
Yeah. And you invited him to the team, so it's your fault.
that's right. No, no, this was my rival. This was my
Oh,
rival who was in the same grade as me.
got it.
Ali came later. Yeah, Ali
Oh, okay.
came later.
Got it.
Um,
So why do you have his picture on your wall though? There's a
sure.
continuation story there. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. So this is part of the transition into coaching. Yeah, he ended up being way better than all of us. Senior year, we had a guy from the Detroit Free Press come down and want to interview Kevin and me, my teammate, just as a story because he and I were both highly ranked going into state. And my head track coach said, "I don't know what you're doing," because Ali had also qualified. He was like one of the last hurdlers to qualify as a sophomore, which was a big deal. He ended up being
Hmm.
state champ in 2010. He goes, the best hurdler on the team is Ali Arastu. So which was a bold move coming from your head coach talking about a sophomore when two seniors are like high on themselves and they're coming to get this interview. But
And
anyway, he
you're
goes,
good, by the way. It's not like you're 15 something, and it's like
yeah,
you're good. You're legit. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And he goes, so if you want to interview the three of them together, we could do that. And so he swaps the story and made it like Northville's 3/300 because we had all qualified in the 300.
Hmm.
And so yeah, that was the big story. So Ali ended up 2 years later. I came back from college, ended up coaching him up. He was runner up in the 300 as a junior,
Wow.
and then runner up in the 110s as a senior, state champ in the 300 as a senior
Holy
for
cow.
Michigan high school.
That's
Yeah,
awesome, dude.
goes to Michigan. He qualified actually for the trials in 2012.
Hmm.
I think he got fifth. Um, but yeah, that's the story on him.
And you just saw him walk in the hallways and was like, "Hey, man, you could be you are a hurdler. Come over to the team."
Definitely.
Isn't
And
that
that's
it?
been kind of my MO for my whole
Yeah,
coaching career is kind of just like picking people out and being like, I got a good feeling about you.
that's interesting because like how many kids total, boys and girls, did you have on your team roughly? 80, 140, I don't know.
Oh, it was a big team. So
Yeah.
we were one of the massive schools. We had about 200 on the
So
team total,
200, and I know out of that 200,
boys and
so
girls together.
yeah. Out of those 200, how many do you know went on to become coaches? And you're forgiven not to know what every one of those guys did, but like, do you know, like, oh yeah, I know at least three
Yeah.
others or something like that, or zero?
Yeah.
What do
In my time, in like the 4 years, like before and after my time,
Yeah,
I would say probably a small handful. There's
yeah,
three or four that I do know right now that are high school coaches across the country.
yeah.
I
So
don't know of any college coaches.
yeah, so way less, like 1% of those kids ended up going to become coaches, and so maybe 1% of them also saw somebody in the hallways of Northville and said, "Hey, come to the team." But that's a distinctly like if you were trying to like figure out who's going to become a coach one day, that would be like, "Hey, have you ever invited someone into the team?" That's step one. And good, decent, 5 to 10% of kids usually do that because, and some of it's like, I just need a buddy on the team, man. You're my boy. Come on, we're going to track practice together. How many, uh, if I'm going to pick who's going to become a future coach, how many of you not only just invited someone, but you invited them because you're like, oh, dude, you could be good at the shot put, or you could be good at the hurdles, or whatever, like you had a specific, like, oh, not just come to track because I think you might be good, or you're fast, like you would be good at this event. And it's for a 16, 17-year-old kid. That's not common. That's a different brain work there. Maybe that different
Well,
brain work is what
I wanted a good shuttle hurdle team. I wanted to get four guys that were going to go undefeated in shuttles because
yeah,
that
yeah.
was like
It's the
my
greatest event
favorite
ever.
relay event. And so, yeah, we needed a couple guys. We had two, and we had our fourth guy ended up being a multi at Oregon, I think, for a couple of years.
Wow,
We were
wow.
stacked. We had a pretty good team. I was
Yeah.
very, very fortunate to have athletes around me.
Did you guys win state?
No, we were definitely top 10. We just didn't have the sprinters at the time
Yeah.
to have it. We were definitely led by hurdles and distance.
That's amazing though. The majority of high school teams aren't going to have three kids that go on to do college. I mean, the majority. Um, and you still didn't win state. I mean, I just tell like when sometimes people when I have conversations, each state does high school state meets a little differently as far as like how many qualify from each team and all that, and how many levels, how many divisions. Remind me, Michigan, is it three, four, four,
Uh, I
four
was
plus?
competing. There were three major divisions, but Division One was really the entirety of the competition.
Right, but there's three boys state championship teams and three girl. Yeah,
Yes, yeah, that's
sometimes
right.
a small school coach will say like, we won state, but it was the small school, or my kid won the 100, but it was a small school.
Mhm.
Bro, no onlys, no apologies. You don't, as a kid and as a coach, you don't get to choose what class you're in. You don't get
Right.
to choose who lives in the district. You only get to say, am I going to beat who's in front of me or not? So when you win a state title, it's unbelievable. So that's I'm actually it's amazing to me. Like, wow, you had at least three really. I mean, they went on to go do college. They were solid kids, and you still didn't win. It's tough to win, dude. That's
Sure
amazing.
is.
Yeah.
Our year was quite the outlier too. We had several guys underneath 14 my senior year. A lot of guys that just were like at 14 low. I had a rough semi final. I probably should have made that final. But yeah, it was just a stacked
When
year.
you say 14 low, are you talking about like 14.3 or like 14.1?
Yeah, so my PR is 14-1, but it's all hand time at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? They're doing those plungers, and
Yeah, yeah.
so
But that's what I'm saying. 14.1. Every high school coach in the country. I'm talking about from Texas big school to the small school Maine. I don't know if that's the whole perspective there, but it's a lot, right? Would kill for a 14.1 kid. And they would no one would turn down. No high school in whatever you think the biggest schools are, Texas, California, Florida, doesn't matter. Every single one would go, oh yeah, 14.1 kid. I'll take that all day. That's most likely that's going to make the finals. I mean, worst case, that makes finals. In a lot of states, most states, it's going to win. So that's a
mhm.
big deal, bro. I also ran 14.1. So when I heard, yeah, mine was in the 60 hurdles though, so I'm not sure it's close to the same, but I did run 14.1. So I just want to make sure I point that out there. Okay, senior year. It's phenomenal. You're having a great time. You're distinctly inviting people to the team. What are you thinking about for college? And what I really want to know is what did you, because I love the mind of a 17, 18-year-old kid because, spoiler, we know what you become. You become a track coach. What were you thinking about? Like, oh, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to study business because I'm going to be a business owner. I'm going to go study science because I'm going to be a lab tech, things like that. What were you thinking as you're looking into schools that you're going to become one day?
Yeah. So definitely could have used a couple mentors at this point in my life. If I could go back and like be that person for myself, I absolutely would. My driving motivation was to go Division 1 track for a big time scholarship.
Wow, I've never heard that story before.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just
Um,
a minute ago on Twitter, every day, all day. Yes, of course, of course.
Yeah, yeah. And so we were, think about when it was late 2000s. So we were just past the crash. My dad was in auto sales, so we were dealing with that.
Oh, yeah.
Going to school for cheap was forefront of my mind.
Good.
But also, I really, really wanted to be like rewarded for the hard work that I had put in during
Did
high school.
did you grow up? You grew up in Michigan. I grew up in Alabama, so you understand that the number one question everybody asks me is, did I grow up an Alabama or Auburn fan? I
Sure.
grew up the fan of the number one school in the world, Troy State University. You grew up in Michigan, so the obvious question is asked: did you grow up a Michigan or Michigan State fan? Maybe Ferris State fan. I don't know. Were you like I want? Or were you a Wolverine or were you a Spartan? What was you growing up? Like what did you your dream school and would have been?
Sure. Yep. We were Michigan fans growing up.
Okay.
My grandpa took us to a couple of football games that definitely
Oh,
instilled passion in my mind. I was able to go to the 2006 loss against Ohio State. It was a really big game. The teams were ranked 1 and 2 at the time.
oh yeah,
So definitely a formative
huge game.
experience there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Michigan fan through and through. My brother actually went to law school at Michigan State, which threw the whole family for a loop. Just totally divided the house.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
ended up marrying the starting center. Well, no, she ended up getting hurt, but he ended up marrying the center on the state basketball team. So now they got a couple kids running around. So
Holy, yeah, athletic, yeah.
how about that for a sports story?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Love it. So were you thinking when you first started getting into the recruiting stuff, where you're like, I'm going to Michigan, that's where I'm going to go
Sure.
run track.
No, I think I had counted that out somewhere along the sophomore year. My grades were not Michigan grades.
Okay, okay.
I was the kind of kid who needed to 4.0 my senior year in order to pass the clearinghouse.
Got it.
And so
Oh,
that's what I
wow,
did.
really? Seriously?
Yeah, yeah. And so I did not get
Evan,
it
wait,
together.
hold on, Evan. Now, why? This family of yours seems very successful. Dad's
Yeah,
successful. They both went to college. Mom and dad both went to college. Your siblings are obviously successful. Not that you need to be a 4.0 out of high school, but why did you I'm shocked by that, honestly.
for
You're doing
sure.
good in athletics, all these things that typically are like, oh yeah, high achievers. And again, not expecting you to be a 4.0, but you had to have that. I mean, having to get a 4.0 to pass the clearinghouse, brother,
Mm,
that you struggled a little bit. What happened
yeah.
there? That surprises me.
Yep. So it'll make more sense when I tell you I was your classic tale of that ADHD kid who was high performing in elementary school. Everybody thought he was gifted, didn't need help for anything. Got to middle school, used a lot of skills, didn't really study. Got to high school, didn't really study, didn't really form skills. And so you find yourself just kind of there.
Hmm.
Um, didn't really have well, I was the kid who didn't do my homework because I thought I knew it, but turns out the homework's worth a lot of points, so you're failing the class. And then
Right.
you
You
start
didn't
failing the
do
class.
the things that that they make you do, the homework, because and it's like I got the answer. What do I almost like the show how you got that answer? It's like, man, I got the
Show
answer.
your work.
Why do I need to show my work? I got the answer. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel that. Okay, all right. Okay, sorry. That just surprised me, Evan. I would not have guessed that. Um, okay, so keep interrupting, but keep going. Where are we going recruiting? What are we doing?
Sure, sure. So really wanted to go D1, really wanted to get paid, really wanted to go somewhere warm. So the schools that were going to be mid-level D1 schools. We're talking Big South at the time.
Mhm.
We're talking Florida, things like that. So ended up going to Winthrop University.
Yeah, is that
Um,
right? That's
yep,
a great
yep.
school.
So I ended up going to Winthrop. Had a really good teammate my first year, Kendrick Cooper. He ended up going, I think, 13-8, 13-7, something like that, which was pretty hot at the time.
Hmm.
And so competing or training with him was important to me. That was as part of my recruitment, I wanted to train
Hmm.
with somebody good
Hmm.
because that's all I'd ever known. And then the facilities really, really impressed me. The
Yeah,
coach promised me the moon. So
yeah,
it
great
was
coaches, man. Yeah.
pretty easy to go with that.
And what were
So.
you thinking? Like, okay, I'm going to major in X because I'm going to become Y.
Yeah, didn't really have that.
Hmm.
I wanted to be an artist of some kind, definitely a musician or a performer, entertainer, or something like that.
Well, okay.
Uh,
Now, so where did that pop up in high school? Were you part of a band or?
sure. So I was the kid who would have been in theater if it didn't overlap with track.
Sure.
So had to choose.
Huh.
But I was in choir. I was in the like chamber choir. I was in the men's a cappella group
Wow.
all years of high school. So had a great time with that. And then
Again, stereotypically, I would not have assumed not great grades with that. I look at a choir and I go, man, they're all like 3.5s and above. Wow,
Yeah,
that's just interesting. That kind of I don't know if it's dichotomy is the right word, but that's just interesting to me. Okay.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you don't know what
And
you're doing going to college.
right, yeah, no idea, no idea. Had lot of options, a ton of interests, and none of them really had stuck out. The one thing that I really did know is that I loved bringing somebody along and then showing them how to do something
Mm,
that worked for them.
hmm
And because that's what I'd been doing with, coaching Ali, not having a hurdle coach for a while, you're kind of learning how to do it,
hmm
kind of being self-sufficient like that. And
hmm
so that was where I really found the joy. And so I ended up choosing the major in education uh, to start. Switched over to sociology right at the end, ended up finishing my education degree.
Wow. So I'm not hearing I'm going to college because I'm going to become a track coach necessarily. Yeah, I'm hearing more of like, pretty typical. Again, I've said this a million times, and I'll say it a million times more. It always befuddles me and shocks me. Not shocks me because this is what society is, but that we make 18-year-olds pick a major that's going to affect them for the rest of their life. You're freaking 18. You don't know jack. You don't know what you want to do tomorrow. Oh, and by the way,
Right.
we're going to charge you a lot of money for that decision too. By the way, yeah, it's really a screwed up system, in my opinion. That's why when you said, at first you're like, yeah, I don't want to go big D1, all that kind of stuff. And then you're like, then it became like, I need to get it paid. That to me is always any kid I talk to when I consult with them about school. I'm like, well, who's going to pay you the most? Like, I don't care if it's D2, D1, JUCO first. It don't matter, honestly.
Mhm.
I know you may have dreams of going to the Olympics, but you know what? No one does. So just put that to the side for a second, because no matter where you go, you can still go to the Olympics. It's not like you're giving that dream up. But what I don't want you to have is $100,000 in loans when you do
Mhm.
graduate, in a degree that you're probably not going to use, by the way. You're going to actually, by the time you're 22 to 25, figure out what you actually want to do. Go get paid, man. Go wherever
Yeah.
the least amount. I love that. So you went to
The
Winthrop. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Well, the story for people my age is go to college and you'll be all right.
It's
And so,
that's the story for way before you too, bro. It's not until just now recently where people are like, you got a degree, okay. I don't know that you need a degree, but it's because we've gotten to a breaking point where student loan debt is crushing
prohibitive.
people. Prohibitive, exactly. And schools have not done a great job of uh, standing out. Like, why would I? You see a lot of schools closing down. I shouldn't say a lot. You see several schools closing down. They haven't
Cutting programs
differentiated
and stuff.
themselves. Yeah, they haven't
Yeah.
differentiated themselves. It's like, why do I go pay 60,000 for you when I can go get an education degree at Dubuque or Winthrop for 20 grand or whatever, it might be. But it's just amazing. I just, I have a freshman and seventh grader, and I'm just like, God bless. It's expensive today in 2026. What's it going to be in 2030 and
Yeah.
2035? I don't know, man. It's scary. But we're not going to solve that right now, Evan. Okay, so you go to
Oh,
South Carolina. How was that? That's it's away from home. More sweet tea, more accents and draws. I'm from the South, so I'm allowed to say all that stuff. How did you handle, really a different culture?
yeah, really enjoyed it. I wanted to get away. That was part of it. I wanted to move far away for college.
Cool.
Wanted to go somewhere warm. I was tired of the Michigan winters,
Sure.
training all spring in like the cold gray, you
Mm,
know. And so, yeah, really enjoyed that. Got super into music and poetry. I probably should have focused more on training, but it was the peak of the slam poetry movement. You remember slam poetry. So I found myself like catching a ride to Charlotte every weekend and finding some poetry slam to try to win a couple bucks at.
shut
Competitive
up,
poetry
dude.
was definitely my focus rather than track and field freshman year.
Who cares? That's awesome, dude. That's so
Yeah.
neat. Can you? I remember in one episode, he was the former head coach now of Northwood University up there in Michigan, and he mentioned that he could play guitar really well, and so I made him grab his guitar and
Uh-huh.
play a little bit. Can you? And you can say no, but I'm gonna put you on the spot anyway. Can you do some kind of slam poetry?
No, dude, absolutely not. No. No, the most recent
You're
poet.
turning a little red. If you're watching us on YouTube, he's got these really cool frames up behind him of these lanes. Lane one, lane two, lane three. Your face is turning a little red compared to those. I don't be embarrassed, bro. That's a skill. I love that.
Yeah. No, a lot of it's missed. The most recent piece of creativity I did was I did a sort of a parody of Casey at the Bat. So I like rewrote it, and it was my foray at the 800. So I did an 800 once as a senior on punishment because I big dogged the guy in the 4x2, and so coach put me in the 8. You could just sub guys out back then,
Right, right.
and so I ran my first 400 split 2 seconds off my 400 PR. So I ran it in
Oh,
52. And so
oh.
like 500 in, I was just beat. And so I ran like a 28 positive split for like a 212, which isn't bad. 212 isn't bad for your first time.
Correct, correct,
It
correct.
was just a horribly ran race. And so yeah, thinking back on that, I wrote like a one off of that. But
Do you have that,
seriously,
bro? Absolutely, seriously.
I'm gonna do as much as I can for
Okay.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Please, please, please.
So the meet was looking promising for Northville Track and Fields because last year's undefeated team was back. Victory was sealed. And though that team repeated in the conference by and by, the toughest test for old Coach G was against Novi High. The meet was looking promising. The 4x8 was first. All hands and flying elbows racing close. The coaches cursed. We swept the 110 hurdles. They swept the 100 dash. And as the 4x2 approached, the teams were set to clash. Your coach got in the relay, and I took my place. The other guy in the third leg got right up in my face. The gig was up, the gauntlet thrown. He tried to shake my groove, and all I know is I blacked out before I made my move. When we both got the relay stick, we shifted into gear, and he was on the inside curve, and then saw me appear. I turned my head to face the kid and hardly changed my gait. I watched him all around the curve and then gapped him down the straight. We crossed the line for first place points, but coach was not amused. The meet was getting out of hand and we're winning. I'm confused. I made the kid look like a fool. That's all I had to say. Coach said I showed bad sportsmanship and I was about to pay. Is he disqualifying me from my next two events? The meet was close and I was fast. That just wouldn't make sense. No, you're not out, my coach declared. Won't let you get off that easy. I put you in the open 8. So my stomach just got queasy. And I had never run an open 8 before, but I knew worse would come to worse if I didn't really try. So when we called us to the mark, I took the line on top. And when he said to take your mark and go, I just took off. Now, when I run the 4x4, I'd usually split 50. I wasn't sure exactly how to run. My plan was iffy. But as I was a sprinter, I turned my wheels and flew. And way in front of everyone, first split was 52. The lead soon closed right after that as runners passed me by. The star athlete was losing. I tried hard not to cry. My heart was something. Oh, geez. Right at the end, I lost it. Something breaks my legs as cups of lactic acid poured slowly into it. Anyway, the coaches laughed
Oh,
among themselves. The
yeah, yeah.
coaches laughed among themselves. He learned his lesson, maybe. Some folks say I'm still out there running because I came back in 80.
Dude, that was awesome. What I loved about it, as a guy who did hurdles and also did 4x8, I could feel and see all of that. Like, that was amazing, dude. You said that's most recently. Did you just write that like within the last couple of years, or
Yeah, a few years ago. Yeah. Just
dude?
like just like looking back on a fun moment.
Yeah. Bro, I love that, man. One of the joys I get, there's no bigger fan of track and field coaches than this guy. My whole life is dedicated to uplifting and honoring those men and women who choose to become track and field coaches. And one of the responsibilities that I put on myself is that, like for you, Evan, you are more than Coach Garish. And what I mean by that is coaches, and maybe it's all different sports, but I focus on track and field, obviously. Coach is so important. We tend to put that as our number one identity, that we're coach. And I will tell you that coach might be the number 4 or number 5 most important title that you might have. Husband, son, brother, neighbor, those titles are more important than coach. And again, I've come from the guy who there's no bigger fan of coaches than myself. And so what I love doing, what I love highlighting, what I love showing off is stripping that coach title off. Because honestly, I don't care how good of a coach you are. I don't care how many All-Americans you coach, a world record. I don't care, honestly. It's awesome. I love that for you, and I love that for the athlete. And it's great. But I care about you. And so thank you for being so vulnerable there. There was an opportunity for me to, for us, for you, for me to be the conduit to show this is Evan, not Coach Garish. This is Evan. That is so stinking cool because our coaches out there are so freaking talented. There's so many things like I said, guitars and poetry. That's so awesome, bro. So thank you so much for that trust and vulnerability. That was really, really cool, honestly.
Isn't that wild how you can pull stuff out of the pocket like that?
When you said I will do as much as I can remember, I'm like, okay, he's going to give me 4 or 8 lines, and that's you can. I was like, bro, I think he's got it all. Then you had that
Yeah.
little hiccup. That's okay though. You're forgiven for that for sure. But
My
dude,
spirit was defeated, my heart breaking like eggs as cups of lactic acid slowly seeped into my
there
legs.
it is. That is, bro. Do you
Yeah.
have that like written in frame somewhere in your house or anything like that? You gotta like you gotta put it on wax somewhere. Like seriously, like no, quit shaking your head. No, no,
Sorry,
seriously.
I was telling the guy at the door he
Oh,
couldn't
okay.
come in.
I was like, don't you tell me no, Evan. No, seriously, you gotta like find a way to like parchment or something, just something, like that's a cool. First of all, I love the creativity just to be able to do that because I can't do that. So I love that. But then because it's so personal, like that's not a fictional story, which would have been cool, by the way. That happened. That was the story that happened.
Mhm.
That to me, it just makes it a little extra special of like, oh no, that's a real story. That's a real piece of the history there. So that was so cool, man. Thank you so much. Again, thank you so much for your vulnerability there. Honestly, I appreciate
Yeah, you
that.
never know what you're going to get on a Gill podcast.
Hey, baby, you know it. This goes down in history. First time. I love it. I love it. Okay. Now my job is to get us back on track, pun intended. You mentioned you came back to high school to coach after a couple years. Did you finish Winthrop or did you transfer?
Yeah, so I only made it 3 semesters, unfortunately.
Okay.
I ended up getting in a car crash that it wasn't a serious car crash, but what it did was it sent me to my first ever MRI. And the MRI revealed a heart deal. And so it
Oh
was
no.
made, yeah, the decision was sort of made for me that it was time to just be done. And
Oh,
so didn't end up competing anymore. I ended up moving home. Just kind
wow.
of found myself in Michigan, sort of directionless and with way too much free time on my hands, and
Yeah.
just sort of in the dumps because my identity the whole time had been sort of
Mhm.
just taken.
That
Yep.
that's what I was going to ask, bro. We especially for a 18, 19, 20-year-old person, our identities are a big deal. It's who we are. We're a hurdler, we're a businessmate, whatever. These are identities for us for sure. How did that feel? That can't be easy.
Mhm. Yeah, it was definitely a mourning period for sure.
Good
Because
way to
definitely,
describe it.
your lifestyle had is now changed. Your schedule is no longer predetermined, right?
Mhm.
So again, way too much free time. Uh, but yeah, basically just went back to my high school and worked with Ali. Just kind of trained him, continued to train him. I didn't really listen to the doctors initially when they were like, you probably shouldn't run. Um, and I didn't necessarily have a ton of like foreshadowing ahead of time. I mean, I would run the 4x4 and I would get what I call like kaleidoscope vision, where I would kind of see stars and black out a little bit. But I just figured that's how everybody felt.
Right.
And so, yeah, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the decision was sort of made that just got to stop before something bad happens. Um, but I was continued to work with Ali, worked with him junior, senior year, just kind of stayed on as a coach at Northville High School, my alma
Mhm.
mater. And then, um, yeah, that takes us to like what,
Well, did you
20? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
when you came back home from Winthrop, did you enroll somewhere in school or are you just kind of helping out here, maybe doing some odd jobs? What are you
Yep.
doing?
So I was waiting tables. I got a
Mm,
job waiting tables right away, and then I was just part time at Community,
mhm,
just trying to slowly work my way through
right.
until I found a plan. Didn't really have a plan at that point.
Yeah.
Um, So it's kind
How
of
was
working through it.
how was your mental state? Being a college athlete is a big deal again because nobody. It's. I think the last stat I saw. I need to actually like. I want to do more of a deep dive because they always show the NCAA stats, but there is NAIA and JUCO, and I have those stats of participation. I want to find out what the actual average percentage, but it's less than 10 for sure. It's closer to like 5 to 7% go on to compete in college. So that's a big deal. You wanted to go away from home, you did that, and now both those things are kind of taken away from you. You're no longer a college athlete, and you're back home. Um, you're waiting table. You certainly didn't think, oh, I'm going to college, and in 2 years I'll be waiting tables. That was that's not the
Right.
goal. How are you doing mentally?
Yeah, it wasn't great. The short version I'm going to give you is I called it the dark ages.
Hmm.
So I had moved out of home, as it were. So I was living with some friends, and again, just kind of finding my way, um, wasting my early 20s.
Yeah. Did when you got to go to the track and work with Ollie and other kids, was that a little bit of a pick me up?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, Definitely track has always been my respite from everything else going on in the world. That's something that, like, even today, I try to make sure that that is something for my athletes, that the specific time that we've set aside. I mean, you get it from yoga, right? Like, we have chosen to take this time for ourselves, and outside distractions are not going to mess with what we're doing here because, again, we have dedicated this time to this activity.
hmm it reminds me of Tony Holler. Do you know Tony Holler, Feed the Cats? You know that
Yeah,
name?
I'm
Yeah.
familiar with Tony.
He likes to say, and he says a lot of things, and a lot of things I might agree with, but one of the things that he says that I really agree with is make practice the best part of their day. I take that to heart. When you're a coach, it's like, man, again, these kids, I know it's easy to make fun of these kids, and I'll do it too. It's about like, oh man, you're so lucky. You don't have bills to pay. You don't have these pressures, these stresses as we do as adults and things like that. And it's like, yeah, it ain't easy to be a kid either now.
Hmm.
Being a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, 20-year-old kid, if you're in college, you're giving a great example. That ain't easy. You are going through things still. It's sometimes extremely serious things and other things that, maybe as a 40-year-old, you look back and go, I wasn't all that big of a deal. But as a 17-year-old, that was a big, that was your life that's going on. So,
Definitely.
so I
It's
love
really
that.
important to me that it's important to me that I turn it on for the athletes at practice,
Yeah, I love
and
that.
just make sure that, like, check whatever I've got going on at the door, and, like, whether I got a mask up or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just make sure that they've got Coach G at practice.
But that's hard too, right? Because like, here in the private sector, same thing. We have jobs to do and things like that. And you could be told like, oh, well, don't bring your personal life. Things are tough at home, but it's like, yeah, that's all. That sounds all good. But you know what? At the beginning and end of the day, Mike is still the person here. Evan is
Mhm.
still the person there. So that's sometimes easier said than. And you've seen it with your athletes because you might ask the same thing of your athletes, like, hey, I know your boyfriend's giving you troubles, but I need you present. I need you here. And it's like, yeah, but that's still tearing me apart, coach.
Right.
I'm still stressed out about this psych exam. That's all well and good that I want to be here and run fast for you, but those things are still happening.
Hmm.
It's just, I'm going to say it's hard. And I wonder if it's actually possible. I know they talk about compartmentalizing things, say,
Yeah.
okay, put that in the bubble and just sit it over here and then you can bring it off the shelf later. I wonder how like actual possible that is. Like for the people that think they do it, that say they do it, I wonder if they're actually doing it or if there's some kind of kidding yourself. We're getting a little bit into psychology here, I'm sure, but
Sure.
I don't know. That just seems
I I put myself on the end of the folks who do try to truly compartmentalize.
mm,
And if we're going, I call it full assing it. If you're going to focus on something, let's
yeah,
focus on it, and let's not try to let outside distractions
yeah,
bother, whatever. It's difficult, it's challenging, but
yeah.
it's something that I attempt to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so you're coaching, you're getting some credits at the community college. Where do we eventually get a degree? How do we get there?
Yeah. So I made the switch to a different team in 2012. I had the athletic director of Detroit Catholic Central reach out to me.
Mhm.
The CC has a big presence in southeastern Michigan, and so I was really excited to join their program. So was working primarily with the hurdlers there. And the head coach of CC is a guy named Tony Magny. He actually was a national high school coach of the year.
Wow.
Was a really, really great mentor for me. He really let me do my thing while he observed, and then when he had notes for me, he would come to me and tell me. He let me interact with the athletes. He let me do my plan, and as long as he saw success, it was great. He also was the first person to uh, sort of encourage me to get back into education, because he wanted me to sub at the school, and he wanted me to do this, and he wanted me to do that, and he could tell that I kind of was looking for something more, right, than just waiting tables and coaching high school. And so yeah, that as well as my current wife at the time, who I started dating, sort of motivated me to get back. I enrolled at
Yeah.
Eastern Michigan, ended up finishing with a teaching degree from Eastern Michigan.
Wow. Hey,
Yep.
there's lots of people. I think here's something I think is very hard is going to college, dropping out for whatever reasons. It doesn't matter the reasons, and then going back to finish that because it's easy to just be like, all right, well, I'm waiting tables today. I'm an assistant manager tomorrow, and that's happened, and then I'm the manager, and I go that route, and nothing wrong with that route. To go back to finish that degree, whether it's a 1 semester break or some people 10 to 20 years break, that's a tough thing to get back into student mode and do those things while also still trying to, again, pay the bills and all the other things and relationships and stuff like that. That's
There's definitely a
interesting.
pocket when you're young where you can do that, and you don't necessarily have to like work through it,
Sure.
especially if you're in a fortunate position. But yeah, I was just in the point where, yeah, if I'm going to be paying for these credits, I'm going to have to be working for it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Easier when you're younger, for sure.
Mhm.
And but not again. I mean, there's plenty of kids who, and you've seen it, I'm sure at this point. Plenty of kids who drop out and again for whatever reason, whether it's a positive reason or not, and don't come back. As far as until they're 40 or 50 years old. And that is why when I see like a 40-year-old, gets their undergrad or even they go back and get grad school, I'm like, God bless it, because I couldn't do it, bro. I'm done. I couldn't I could not wait to get my undergrad. I wanted to be done with school so bad.
Mhm.
I couldn't even fathom. One day, early in my career here at Gill, I went to my boss, love him to death, Steve Vogelsang, and I was like, "Hey, boss man," I was like, "You know what I want to do around here?" And everybody, all the leadership guys and gals here have MBAs, and I was like, "Do I need to?" Do I need to go get an MBA? And he's like, nah, I think, the things you're doing, you're learning MBA stuff here. I don't think you do. And I was like, oh, thank God. Oh, man.
Mhm.
Because if he's my mentor. If he'd have said yes, I would have
There we go.
figured it out. And
Mhm.
I don't know if I'd have completed it. That's for sure. So you end up getting a degree from Eastern Michigan. You're oh my God. The old one was Hurons. Are they the Eagles? Is that what they are
They're the
now?
Eagles now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Because of there was that push to get rid of the indigenous names. But the Huron is like the Seminoles of Florida. So it's a tribe here.
Oh,
So instead of being like the Braves or
yeah.
like the Indians, which you could argue is offensive, like the Huron that's a throwback to like a local tribe. Pretty sure the Huron aren't
Interesting.
upset with it. I haven't asked them in a while, but
Yeah.
if you ask any old head from Eastern, they're the Hurons.
It's very weird. Uh, the Arkansas State used to be the what was it, the Braves? They had they changed the Red Wolves, and but Florida State didn't have to change.
Mhm.
For a long time, Washington, the NFL team didn't have to change. Now they had to change. I mean, it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a consistency guy, so when I see inconsistencies, I'm always like, that doesn't sit very well.
Well, if you're going to change it, don't change it to the Commanders and the Guardians.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about the
Good Lord.
yeah, yeah,
Like, who
yeah,
did we ask? Who did we greenlight that anyway?
yeah. I do get the not naming the teams after, a lot of times racist and offensive terms as well,
Mhm.
because, we certainly want that for any other ethnicities. Um, and Native Americans probably get the most crap because, I mean, well, it started off bad from the get-go, and has
Mhm.
never gotten better. We've definitely treated Native Americans in a bad light here in America. That's as close as I'll get to political. I think it's right there. So we'll move right on. Okay, so you get your degree from Eastern Michigan. Love that. My former boss at Ball State, Sue Parks, is the head coach there at Eastern
Yes,
Michigan.
shout out to Sue, great lady.
Also, Gill podcast alum, love her to death. She was great. I'm so glad I got to coach under her at Ball State. We did a lot of fun things there and definitely springboarded my career.
Did you know JG Goodrich
Who?
over at Eastern? John Goodrich over
Oh,
at Eastern.
yes, of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So he, when I enrolled at Eastern, I go up to him, I go, hey, like, I'm a former athlete, track guy. Can I help out? And he was like, yeah, you can help out. You can hold the iPad for our pole vault coach. And I was like, really just hoping to do something with sprints and hurdles. And he was like, no, that's going to be good for you. And so basically I spent a whole semester just going like this the whole time.
It's ingrained in you. That was really good.
Yeah, taking it through and then going, here, look. And then they look at it. I did a great job.
Did you use that opportunity to learn about pole vaulting?
I tried. I definitely tried. I got a couple tidbits here and there. I would not feel confident coaching pole vault unless it was
same. Yeah, I never. I did sprint, jumps, and hurdles except for the pole vault. I couldn't do it. Okay, so you're at Detroit. Did you say Catholic Central? Was that
Catholic Central? Yeah.
And you get your degree. So what's our first, or is the next step a full-time teaching degree or full-time teaching job with coaching? What was our next step there?
Yeah, good. So I graduate from Eastern Michigan. I get married the same year.
Yeah.
Yep. So my wife and I decide that we're going to move to Colorado.
Ooh. Whoa.
Yep. So, I know. Yeah. We eloped to Vegas. That needs to be said. That needs to be said.
No shot. Where did you get married? That little chapel?
No, we got married out in the desert. It's called the Valley of Fire. Beautiful area.
I know. I used to live in Vegas, so I know where it's at. Yeah. Why elope? I always wonder why elope. Like elope, like you didn't tell anybody you went and got married, or elope like I don't want a big wedding, so we're just gonna go get married.
Yeah, it was more like this is the first selfish thing either one of us has ever done. No one needs to be a part of it. This is for us.
Yeah. I'm assuming you took some blowback.
Probably less than you'd think.
Really? Mom and dads didn't, especially her mom and dad, yeah, for sure. I mean, come on. I also get it, but I also don't like, again, I'll counsel people about like, hey, when you go get married, don't go spend 20, 30 grand. Like it's just a party to get your friends drunk. That's stupid. Now you're the one holding the bag on this thing, man. You want a house and kids? Well, you just lost 30 grand they could have put towards that. So I'm kind of on the elope fence there, to be honest with you. Yeah.
A lot of factors at play. It was the best decision for us.
Yeah, good. So your life changed, bro. You got that degree you've been working towards. You get married. Holy cow, that's a life changer.
Yeah. And so going out to Colorado, a change in location, change in lifestyle, like a whole bunch of different things. I felt like this was the time that I was going to go be a head coach. So I'd been learning.
You're still thinking high school when you say head coach. Yeah. Okay.
Been coaching for about 7 years at this point.
So you know it a lot. Yeah.
Holding down sprints, hurdles, and relays pretty well. Had some success at CC. And so there was a hiring at a 3A, which is like mid-level in Colorado school. There was a coach.
Where you at? Did you go to like Denver or where?
Yep, North Denver, right in the suburbs, Broomfield, just south of Boulder, right in between that Boulder-Denver corridor.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
Beautiful area there. Yeah. So situation was, it was almost perfect. It was a co-head coach position because the longtime coach, her name was Kim McConnell, another national high school coach of the year.
Wow.
Kim McConnell she had like 1 foot out the door and she was looking to retire, but she wanted to see the program in good hands before she left. And so it was a really, really good opportunity for me to step in with just an immediate mentor. If I ever had head coaching questions or admin questions or logistic questions, like she was perfect support for that.
So you got to coach with her and what would you do here? Wow, dude, we don't get that opportunity.
No, I was really fortunate. And then she stepped away the next year, and I felt incredibly equipped to run that team. So
what were you teaching?
English. My degree is in secondary English. However, in Colorado, there is a very, very high Spanish-speaking English language learning population. So where I found myself was, man, boy, in the Midwest, the situation would probably be there would be one interventionist that would come in and pull that one English speaking student
Mhm.
out of the class, and then they'd go do a one-on-one.
Right.
Uh, the need was such out there that I was a full-time classroom teacher with 5 sections of literally English language development classes.
Wow.
And so we were doing things, it wasn't necessarily English literature. It was things like reading and writing. We did spelling bees. We did high level phonics, things that maybe like you would do in preschool,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
sometimes just with pronunciation, things
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
These were
yeah.
people that could communicate perfectly because they grew up here, but they just didn't have the reading or writing skills to get them by in an academic setting. And so it
Wow.
was a really, really wild situation. I had a great time. I
You
started
had
bringing in
five,
Latin and Greek root words,
you had 5 blocks of that?
five full
Is
sections
this
of like
fairly
like
big
30
school?
kids.
I would say fairly big school then?
Uh,
Or each of those
School was
blocks
like
have less kids?
no, school was like 650, I would say, for the middle school.
Wow.
And so yeah, I would say I probably had 160 kids.
Wow. So, and you said that it was a big, that's a big part of the population. So yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I had no clue. That's interesting.
Mhm.
Interesting.
So I really
Okay.
tried to bridge the gap of like what they knew and like so I did a lot of cognates, a lot of Latin and Greek root words, a lot of bridging between languages, a lot of language appreciation.
Cool.
Um, I basically taught them like the International Phonetic Alphabet, a lot of stuff that you do in Linguistics 101. My like secret goal was that a lot of these kids were going to major in international studies when they grew up and be CIA translators or something like that. Like that was my big like dream for them.
That's awesome. Wow. That's really interesting, Evan. Like,
Yeah.
that's so cool. I mean, that has to be, coaching, again, it's a calling, and you help people in the hurdles. You help kids go from 22-second 110 kids to 15 second. That's a big deal. And they have success in that. They're making finals at, meets and things like that. This is equally, and probably, if we humble ourselves as track coaches, more important, because this is kids that are learning how, so they can actually go to society and order off the menu, go to a library to get a book, get be able to communicate in a job interview. I mean, this is real life changing stuff here. Greater, again, if we humble ourselves as track coaches, greater than I'm able to three-step the 110 hurdles.
Hmm. Yeah, I really had a lot of fulfillment out of it. A lot of people would bless me on the streets, like I served in the military or something like that, like, oh my gosh, you teach middle school, like God bless you, you
Sure,
know.
it's middle school, bro. Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Um, just kind of wish teachers were paid more.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
won't say that didn't lead me into this profession, but
yeah.
just
Right.
really
Yeah.
wish teachers were paid more.
Yeah, you went from poor to poor. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, it's just that's another just ridiculous thing in our society that we pay teachers nothing, and then wonder why we have a shortage of teachers. By the way, I mean,
Mhm.
it's like let's be smart here, guys. Um, and coaching at the same time. So, are you are you in your classes like, hey man, let me teach you how to say the word hurdle? Like, are you picking kids out and getting them to the team?
Yep. So I definitely made the fact that you could run for me later a big part of it, especially teaching middle school and coaching at the high school.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Um, and so also what I did was, any high schooler that well, not that any high schooler that then competed in track in college, I would either have them send me a pennant or I would go buy a pennant of that college and then I would put that in my classroom.
Cool. Love when people do that.
And then I would allude to like, Aiden's over at Stony Brook. You know what I mean? You train hard, you run fast, you can go to Stony Brook, right? Just
That's
different,
cool. Yeah,
different things like that. So I definitely tried to recruit them early, as it were.
that's cool. I love when teachers do that. When I'll see clubs do that when they put up a flag of the schools, and 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 I've seen them do a pretty good job where they don't just highlight the Power Four schools. They'll put everybody up there, and I just think that's cool for a kid to see. Sometimes we need to see it before we can believe that we can do it. And so to
Yeah.
see, like, wow, someone in my high school went to college. I went to, first of all, it may just be going to college. Wow, they went to college. Well, maybe I can go to college. Oh, they went to Stony Brook. Maybe I can go to Stony Brook. Oh, they went to University of Colorado. well, why can't I go to university? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
they need to see it sometimes. I love when teachers do that. I wish more teachers did that, and maybe they do, and I just don't hang out with like normal teachers, meaning non-coaches. I wonder
Mhm.
if that's also kind of a culture, like a regular English teacher, meaning they don't coach any sport, has a kid that goes, becomes an English major at University of Chicago, puts a University of Chicago poster or something. Like I don't. It seems very athletic for obvious reasons, but I hope they do it for
Mhm.
at the academic side too.
It's got to be tougher for just a non-sports coach to stay in touch with their students and what they're doing if it's not directly sports related. I mean, it
Yeah,
would take effort. It would just take a
yeah,
lot of effort.
yeah. I don't know.
Hey, I
I
wanted to drop a short story. I'm so sorry.
do it, bro.
I
This is
should have
yours.
mentioned this earlier.
Yeah.
When I was like 5 years old, I walked into my I walked into my high school for a basketball game.
Okay.
Couldn't have been older than 7. Couldn't have
Okay.
been older than 7. And I saw the school record board, and it said Brandon Langston 10.66 for the 100. And I thought to myself, okay, 10.66 for the 100. That's like we're gonna go do that. And I was like a young child.
Yeah, you're
And
nothing. Yeah, yeah.
so it definitely implanted something in me like long term. Like
Wow.
one day there will be a time for you to run on the track team and like you're gonna go get that 10.66. I never did, never came close. But it was definitely something that I had thought about for a long time.
I think that you tell a good example there. That's important for leaderboards, for goal set. That's goal setting. You didn't have someone formally sit down and set a goal of like, hey, you're going to run the 110, but you saw that and was like, okay, well, that's going to be my goal. Then someone that guy did it, I can do it. Again,
Mhm.
I think seeing things is I think we sometimes forget about the importance of seeing things. We just think like, oh, you can become anything. Well, if I don't see it, I don't know that that's actually true. I don't know what smart guys become astronauts. I can't become an astronaut. It's like, well, actually, Johnny graduated here 10 years ago and they're in NASA. It's like, well, frick, man. Johnny
Mhm.
from Northville did it. Well, why can't Mike from Northville do it? I think that's important. I think it's really
The
cool.
same thing goes, I mean, when you consider like people that break unbreakable records, like a lot of times people talk about Roger Bannister's 4 minute. Once he broke it, a ton of people broke it. Once you see that that barrier can be done, like for some reason, it just happens
100%.
way more. Like there's got to
100%.
be something there.
No, there is for sure the psychological side of it. I think that's why, right now we're seeing more kids jump 6 meters in the pole vault than we ever have. As well, it's because a guy who stopped believing that he couldn't break Bubka's record, broke the record, and now breaks it, 2 to 3 times every year for crying out loud.
You
Um,
think he can jump 7 meters at home?
seven in
Well,
the
yeah, you think he does it? You think
in
he
the
does it at home?
in the long jump? Sure, yeah,
Oh, no, sorry. Who are you? No, I'm talking about Mondo. You
yeah.
think at home, when no one's watching, he can actually go way higher than he's been going?
I am also talking about Mondo, sir. He cannot
Yeah.
go 7 meters. No, that's he just jumped 631.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying he can
No,
go way higher than he's telling us all.
no.
He's just slowly breaking stuff and making it a spectacle. He can
No,
actually go way higher at home.
no. Uh, I think he's doing it right financially as far as the 1 centimeter thing, which I still can't believe. Like, there's no law that says you have to pay a kid. The rumor is 100,000 every time he breaks the world record. There's no law that says you have to pay a pole vaulter 100,000 every time they break the world record, right? Like, I don't know why a shoe company didn't say like all the shoe companies just band together and be like, look, bro, if you set the world
Yeah.
record, I don't care if you set it 4 times in one year. I'll give you one bonus for the year, but because you can control it. It's not like the 100 meter dash where it's like, man, who knows? You may go nine, what the hell ever it is, 45, 47. You can't pick to
Hmm.
go 0.01 faster than the 100 meter record and then
Right.
0.01. You don't, you just can't. Sorry, it's not possible. So I'm shocked that they even do that. But I believe, uh, can he go higher than 631? For sure. Where it taps out, I don't know, 640, 650, 7 meters though. Although, important point when I say that, one of the OGs, episode maybe 30 or 40, was now rest in peace, Brooks Johnson. Do you know the name Brooks
Yeah.
Johnson? Yeah.
Yes, definitely do. Definitely do.
And if you haven't listened to his episode, I highly recommend. I tell every coach it should be like a requirement to listen to his podcast uh, as you coach. He taught me, and I haven't coached in now 20 years, a little over 20 years, but his big thing was the coach, if you don't believe the record can be broken, then you're not going to coach appropriately to break that record. He's like, every
Mhm.
record can be broken. And I even challenged him. That was kind of hard because this is Brooks Johnson, dude. I said, even the men's high jump, because that's a big record, right? That hasn't been broken in a long time, and it's 8 foot and a quarter or whatever. And he goes, of course, someone can jump more than 8 feet. And if you don't believe it, then you're not coaching correctly. Get out of the profession. He said a little bit more colorful than that, but his
Sure, yeah,
real
he was definitely a colorful guy.
yeah, his real philosophy, his real not even philosophy, his belief system was absolutely every record can be and will be broken, and you've got to coach towards that. And if you don't believe it, then why are you even doing this? And it really, I don't know, it made me think a lot. I was like, damn, that's right. Who am I to limit someone? Now, there's things
Mhm.
you're gonna have to do to get there, and but I don't believe Mondo can jump 7 meters. That's just crazy, dude.
I just threw a number out there, but
You
like,
know,
I wonder if he actually knows that he can go higher than he's been showing us.
I, I mean, for sure, right? Because like every pole vaulter has a bungee PR and a meet
Yeah,
PR, and it's never the inverse, by the way. It's always like
right.
we got this really cool cat. He's actually been on the podcast up in RD, Mateo. He was an All-American for Washburn University and Cal Poly, Pomona. And whenever you ask him what his PR was, and he was like an 18 something guy, he was legit, he'll say, "Oh, my bungee PR," like it just spews out of these pole vaulters where it's like, "Oh, bungee PR
Mhm.
is or practice PR is X, meet PR." It's just so funny to me that it's just part of that pole vault culture. You don't just say your PR, you got to say what's your practice PR.
Actually, yeah,
I got it on film.
yes.
Have you seen, so, man, you got me going all these tangents, and we still aren't even in your story here. Um, did you see there's some guy on Facebook? Because I know you're on Facebook. That's what I'm wondering. The name is like Pole Vault Science, Pole Vault Science. It's a weird, anonymous name. He's like trying to convince people that Mondo, the 631, shouldn't count and we should change the rules of pole vaulting because Mondo came down on the pole vault pretty significantly. It comes down pretty big deflection, but the crossbar stayed. And so he's like, "Oh, that means he didn't really jump it, blah blah." And I'm like, "Brother, that's the event. Like,
Yeah,
as long as
the
the
rules are the
bar,
rules.
yeah, as long as the bar is what we have to do for the bars and the pegs and all this stuff, that is literally part of the event. That's like
He
saying,
could knock it up a foot, and as long as it came down and
as long
caught
as it
it,
stays, brother.
it'd be unbelievable.
That's what I'm saying. It's just people bashing for no reason. It's like I don't know if people are like frustrated. Like I wonder if people got frustrated with Buka when he was doing it. Point oh 0.01. I wasn't
Mhm.
around to really know, but I wonder if it's just like frustration. But it's like, bro, that is the event. It's a little different than shot put and the 100 and long jump, but that is the event. What are you talking about here? I don't know. He can jump farther, higher for sure. Uh,
Mhm.
7 meters, I have some doubts, but I don't think we saw the last world record from Mondo. Um,
Sure.
okay, let's keep going. Evan,
Yes,
how long are we at teaching middle school, coaching high school there in Colorado, and where do we go next?
sure. So, I looked up once I got to Colorado. I started also, well, okay, I'll back up a little bit. Started looking at head coaching jobs. Also looked at college coaching jobs. Just wanted to do something different. And I looked at Metro State University, which is a
Hmm.
D2 college downtown Denver. And they had no hurdlers on their team. They had multi-athletes on the roster, but just on the when you look them up online, there was no hurdlers. So I contacted the head coach, Janice Christopher, and I said, "Hey, like, Evan Gerish, I'm in Colorado now, hurdles guy, can we meet?" And so she agreed to meet with me. We had lunch. We talked for like 2 hours. And I walked away as the hurdles coach of MSU Denver. And so I started out working with the multi athletes just on hurdles.
Right.
But then I basically had just free reign to try to recruit hurdlers as I could.
This is a
And so that
volunteer
was
position though, or are you part
yes,
time?
yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yep, just volunteers, just
yeah.
volunteers. So I'm coaching high school. I've got
Hmm.
my hurdle club. I've got I'm at MSU Denver, volunteer coaching there, recruiting hurdlers, and we get a squad. Um, 2020 kind of throws a big damper on everything, but then coming back out, I think I had four women's hurdlers and four men's hurdlers. By February 2025, the men's not to brag, but the men's hurdle squad was 15th in D2 by 2025. So took
Dude.
took 4.5 years, including a COVID year, but then we got them in squad contention, which was something I was very proud of.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
set we set like I don't know 15 school records during that time on the men's and women's side. Um, yeah, it was a great time. It was a great time.
What are you doing during this time for coaching education? And when I talk about coaching education, it's very important to me. It made my career, and I still believe in professional development with what I do now. I think of it as like informal and formal, with
Mhm.
neither being more important necessarily. No ranking there. Informal. Let's start with formal. Formal being like our USATF level ones and twos, our USTF CCC academies, Altus. The ones you go and get a certificate for, and then the informal, just as valuable if you do it correctly, is I call Gabe. I remind him, hey, I met you when I was a kid, bro. Can we chop it up
Mhm.
over hurdles? What do you do here? What do you do there? Both of those are very important. What are you doing during this time for coaching education?
Yeah, great question. Kind of got to go back for this.
Back to when you're
I
five again? Just kidding.
Yeah, for sure. Back to 105. No, definitely seeking out mentors and asking the questions that I don't know is something that I have been doing the whole time.
Mm,
And so I'm definitely not shy to try to find a phone number and call somebody. Definitely not shy of reaching out on Facebook. A lot of my informal education has been with coaches who have been kind enough to lend me their ear
mhm,
or their keyboard for a
yeah,
back and forth when I just have like a one-off question.
mhm,
Not to drop his name, but like Vince Anderson has been
yeah,
fantastic.
love him.
He's sent me things. Randy Huntington is another one. He's sent me slide decks before just because I've asked for them. Um, did I lose video there?
Yeah, you're frozen, but I can still hear you. So
Okay, I wonder if I can get this
yeah, I don't
going here.
know.
Um, but yeah, I've found that if you ask, coaches are willing to share.
That's awesome.
Um,
I love that you're having that experience because, um, first of all, you named two amazing people, Vince Anderson, one of my good friends, Randy Huntington, who was just on the podcast probably a month or two when this is published, was our 350th guest, and is an amazing human being who knows more about track and his pinky than I've done in my whole career. Any formal coaching education?
Yes, yes. So Tony Magny, again at Catholic Central, absolute legend, was one of the original elders of MITCA, which is the Michigan Interscholastic Track Coaches
Yes,
Association.
yes. They do a great job.
Before they do, before I left the state, I just thought that that was the standard that every state puts on. And since I've been around the country, I find that no, it is not. MITCA is definitely special. You
Hmm.
got like the original Kermit, you got Lou Miramani, Chuck, Marty, Tony. Yeah.
Hmm.
Invaluable, uh, again, informal education, just like having a beer at the end of the social night with those guys at the MITCA
Yeah,
clinic.
yeah.
Um, when you talk about actual clinicians, one of the people that had the biggest impact on me early was Tony Beanie,
Mm.
um, hurdle coach Tony Beanie.
I know
Really,
Tony well.
really good, really, really good clinician. Really, really good. Um, he explains stuff very, very well. He doesn't tell too many stories. He makes it appropriate for the coach. He answers direct questions,
Yep.
and you walk away thinking that you learned a ton of stuff, and you just have
Hmm.
to go apply it.
Yep.
And Tony's another one that's, I mean, I got his card right here
Nice.
on my
Yeah.
desk.
Love it.
If I ever need anything, I
Great
don't
dude.
hesitate to reach out. And I'm probably bugging him, but I don't care. Um, he keeps picking up the phone.
Let's say it's
Um,
his fault. He answers. That's exactly
yeah,
right.
yeah. The other one, I mean, you go the other way. I've heard, I got to hear Clyde Hart talk at the Mickey
Mm.
Clinic.
Hmm.
Rest in peace, Clyde Hart. He
Hmm.
tells a fantastic story. He tells a really, really great story. I would say that the difference, between a guy like Tony and a guy like Clyde is Tony's giving you a ton of meat and protein and stuff that you're going to take away. Going, I gotta apply. We got to practice. And Clyde's speech is, "This is how I trained Michael Johnson. Here's some of his training plan. Here's how I trained Jeremy Warner. Here's some of his training plan. Here's another couple stories. Did you have a great time? Any questions?" And you walk away from that going, "What a legend, Clyde Hart."
Right.
But just completely two different styles of presenting.
Yeah.
And so I try to take a little bit from both of those as I do my own.
I think, again, coaching education and so coaching clinics extremely important in my life, changed my coaching career, coaching education. And so today, and part of it, it's it plays out through like our podcast here. I'm trying to always give a coach a voice in what they find interesting. So whether they want to speak on hurdles or long jump or practice or recruiting the hallways, those are all topics we've had on the Gill 1918 project. Um, it's interesting. So I see a lot of different speakers, a lot of different coaches speaking, and some are very, I'll know some of them very well. Like I'm like, oh, they coach very similarly. And then when they get on stage, and not that because the stage changes them, but when they go to present their philosophy, if you will, um, it's very differently. You're right. There's some that are storytellers. There's some that are extremely dry, and they're just going up on workouts. I'm not saying Tony's that way, by the way, but there's different styles. And I think what's valuable about that is everybody everybody's different, Evan. And not only is everybody different, meaning, I need to hear stories to understand the workout, or I just need the X's and O's to understand the workout, but also where you are in your age and stage changes. So you could go and listen. One of my favorite people, and you've already mentioned, you're just dropping Gill podcast alum names. I love it. Clyde Hart has been on the podcast. Love him to death. Huge. He's like, my CEO would say Clyde was a dad to him. Was a Baylor alum, is a Baylor alum, and so we have a lot of respect and love for Clyde and his family. um, but so one of my favorite people to listen to, and I will always tell people, I don't care what event you coach, I don't care what you're doing. If this person is speaking, you go listen to them, and I don't care what they're speaking on, you go and listen to them. Boo Schexnayder, uh,
Sure,
who,
boo.
yeah, and our number one most listened to episode, by the way, rightfully so, my mentor in coaching. And Boo, you can go listen to Boo give the same talk, same subject matter, whether it's long jump or acceleration or hamstrings, and even if he says and does everything the same way, which is almost impossible because he's a different person each time he presents it,
Hmm.
you, Evan, would uh, take away something differently. You would hear something different for the first time, even though you've actually heard it 7 times. You would take it away. It's why I'm blessed that some of our track clinics allow me to record the speakers and then put them on the Gill 1918 project. And so this past fall, Vince Anderson spoke on 400-meter training at the which clinic was that? Oh my gosh, a clinic here in Bloomington, Illinois, done by gosh dang it, my guy out in Bloomington did a great job. He brought Vince in. Vince spoke on the 400-meter dash. I got to record it and put it in the Gill 1918 project. Well, Vince also spoke at the University of South Florida clinic this past fall. So within 6 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, same talk. I mean, literally the same slides. It was the same talk.
Hmm.
And I put both of them on the Gill 1918 project podcast several weeks in between. And you will pick up, people have emailed me this and said, hey, I listened to both, they're the exact same thing, but he said this just a little differently, or I didn't notice this on the first time, I understood this a little bit better, because you're in a different place. You may have a different athlete when you hear someone do the exact same talk, like, oh man, I never had this problem with an athlete, but now I do because I have Susie. That makes sense what Vince is talking about now, or that makes sense what this speaker's talking about. So I love that I love that there's a variety. I love that there's a Clyde Hart. There was a Clyde Hart like that, and he spoke like that. I love that there's a Tony Viti like that. Sue Humphreys is another Gill podcast alum,
Sure.
speaker
Yeah.
who, God bless her, she's a coach of coaches. She's doing an amazing job teaching people with high jump, things like that. I find it fascinating. I found it fascinating. Speaking of TTFCA, this past winter clinic, Sue Humphrey spoke on the high jump. She did an amazing job because she's amazing. And then Kendra, mm, she's the high jump coach at Texas State. She was a really good high jumper for UCLA. Very young. Maybe this is her fifth or sixth year coaching. Young meaning like Sue Humphreys has been coaching forever. Love you, Sue, because I know
Sure.
you're listening. You know what I mean when I say that, Sue. And Kendra, maybe like in her fifth to sixth or seventh year, but doing an amazing job. I mean, Texas State has high jumpers every year at NCAA. She does a good job. Both of them spoke on the exact same topic, high jumping, and they couldn't have been more different. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I watched Sue do it, and I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. I watched Kendra do it. I go, oh, well, that's pretty cool. It's just what they stress was differently. What they
Hmm.
the philosophy on X, Y, and Z was different. It was just it was just amazing. So that's why I'm always encouraging people to go speak at clinics. Like Evan, like have you spoken at clinics?
Yeah,
Good.
I was asked in Colorado to do one for them, and
Yeah.
then so I
And
made
they've got a
I made a
decent
visit.
clinic there. It's it's not Michigan. What about at Iowa? Iowa's a top 5-6 clinic, high school clinic. Have you spoken at Iowa's clinic yet?
Yep, yes, I have.
Good, 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 good,
I've done the beginning. Basically, my niche is like developmental hurdling.
good,
So getting them from 0 to 60.
good,
If you want a speech about getting them from 0 to 60 and bypassing all the nonsense that it takes them to three-step, happy to
good.
talk.
That is more important than, hey, how do I take my 13.8 hurdler and make them 13.5? But it's
Mhm.
more important. We just like athletes in coaching, big swath here, not everybody, not you, Evan. Uh, they want the magic pill. How do I get
Mhm.
that 13.5 hurdler? What do I need to do? And it's like, brother, if you just got 99% of the base perfected, your athlete will be way better than they are. It's the
A lot of
base.
times they just want specific workouts to plug in without like a lot of
Yeah.
the why behind
Yeah. And maybe, I hear that a lot too. And maybe I'm in, we all are in our circles and our boxes, right? Because of who I'm talking to, like right now, talking to you, Evan, and the things on Twitter and stuff like that, like I'm surrounded by the coaches who go, "Oh man, I want to learn more. Oh, how did you take that hurdler from 0 to 60?" I don't get I'm not hanging around the guys and gals that are saying like, "Oh, what's the magic workout?" Like I'm not. So
it.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm just in the wrong circle because I'd like to be in that circle to help them tell you that there's not a magic workout, or I don't know that it's as big as we think, or maybe it's gotten better in 2026 compared to maybe 1996 because of the, now we have, YouTube's in full effect, and there's Zoom, people like Kaba and Chris Parno and those guys do an amazing job of doing education through Zoom. So maybe it's just there's more education out there, so
Mhm.
it's easier to see. Oh crap, there's not a magic bullet, a magic workout out there, or maybe it's just not as big, or I'm oblivious and I'm only talking to the coaches who understand the base is probably the most important aspect.
What you do see is a ton of overlap in what a lot of the successful people are doing.
Absolutely.
And so it's easy to pull from that.
Hmm.
I definitely would rather pull from that than like obviously like what a YouTube coach is doing or like,
Hmm.
not to name drop, but I got a buddy in Texas, Marlon Odom, who's doing fantastic things with developmental hurdlers. But a lot of times he'll post a fancy video and then I'll see other people doing it 2 weeks later
Hmm.
without proper intent with it,
Right.
just because they saw it, it looks great. And
Yeah.
so they're doing it without any context.
Yeah. Okay. So
Um,
how much responsibility? And I know Marlon. I respect him a lot. I like him a lot. This is not a slam on Marlon. I'm going to use him because I feel like he would be okay with this example. How much responsibility does Marlon have in that? Why did you post the freaking? Here, maybe here's what I'm trying to say. I don't care about freaks. I don't care about Grant Holloway. I love Grant. He's a friend of mine. Love him. But Grant Holloway, you ain't never going to coach a Grant Holloway, Evan. And you know what I mean when I
right.
say that. I'm being very
Yeah,
dramatic
definitely.
saying that all. 99.99% of us are never. Grant's a one of one.
Hmm.
I need to know, hey, Mouse, who was the kid that walked on that was a 14.5 kid and ran 13.3, and we don't know about him because he was Grant's teammate.
Yep.
He ran
A lot of my
13.
joy comes from the progress, just getting those kids developed and continual progress rather than
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
like the top guys. Because again, well, I'll tell you what, you coach long enough, guys are going to come through. You
Maybe.
coach long enough, you're going to have a one-off, you're going to have a guy that's good. But a lot of
Maybe.
them are just going to be developmental people that you're going to be bringing on and just trying to give them a
Yeah.
good experience and make them faster.
Yeah. And this is important to me, Evan. I'm sorry. So I have to say this too, because I don't, I'm also very, very tired of hearing people. This is okay. This is in my circle of the coaches I hang out with, and through with the podcast and social media and stuff like that, is the coaches that say, when Mouse, I use Mouse as an example because I love him. He's a good friend, also podcast alum, and Grant because he's a cool dude. And when Mouse got Grant, he was already what he ran 13.7 out of high school. I don't know what he ran. He ran fast, whatever he ran. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Well, that's not developing. Like, he was fast. He just had to keep him getting faster. Bull crap. And I know we're talking about hurdles because 39 to 42, so there's a lot of variables here. But even I usually use the 100-meter dash example. Somebody, there's what, two or three kids in Texas and one in Georgia maybe that have run sub 10 in the 100 in high school.
Mhm.
You know this?
Yeah,
It's ridiculous, by the way. Uh,
getting faster.
somebody's gonna sign them. Some kid ran what, 999 or something like that. Somebody is gonna sign that kid, and they're gonna have to develop them because 999 sometimes doesn't make the 100-meter finals in NCAA. And I might be a
Mhm.
little exaggerating on that, but you know what I'm talking about. Uh, to go from 999 to 995 to 993 is hard.
Yeah.
That's developing. And I'm tired of people only saying if I take an 11.5 to an 11 flat, that's developing. That is 100%. But also taking that 10 flat kid to 9.9, that's also developing. What Mouse did with Grant was developing. That's
There's
hard.
there's a there's a saying in gaming where 92 is 50% of 99, and it
Whoa,
basically
teach
has,
me this. Teach me this. I don't know this.
yeah. So I mean, consider like
Say it again. Say it again.
92 is 50% of 99.
Okay.
And so basically it means is as you're leveling up through gaming, it's going to take you half the time to get to 92 to level 92.
Oh,
And then once you're at
interesting.
level 92, it's going to take you another half of the game to get even up to level 99.
That's interesting. Are you a gamer?
Not really, but I've seen bumper stickers.
Dude, I'm having a blast. I'm so sorry. You are so much fun. I love this. I love that you gave it game, which I'm a Fortnite guy, so this makes sense to me.
Okay.
That's really interesting. 92 is 50% of 99. 50% of your development, you'll get to 92, but boy, to get from 92 to 99,
Yeah.
that's another half-life out there. Oh, I like that a lot.
It's a great concept. I loved it when it clicked for me. Yeah.
It makes me want to figure out how to say that in track and field.
Hmm.
But the range is so hard. Like 14, maybe if we use round numbers, 14 flat is 50% of 13.3 or 13.5, whatever,
Yeah.
next one would
Sure.
be. That's interesting. It
There's your
makes me
analogy right there.
it makes me now want to go to Twitter and like do that for every single event now. I don't know the events well enough anymore though. That's gonna be hard, but like, because it also changes, right? If I'm an elite 100-meter guy, 10 flat might be the 50% of 9.8 or 9.7, but in high school, 11 flat might be 50% of
Hmm.
10.5 or something like that. Yeah, that's super. I'm gonna engage Twitter. So tell me again, 92 is
92 is 50% of
50%
99.
of 99. Okay, I'm gonna make that my next Twitter, Facebook conversation. I love that. Okay, Evan, that's awesome. You're doing a great job at Metro State. You're still coaching high school. You're still teaching middle school. You're still learning how to be a husband. That's a whole, we
Yeah.
cannot dismiss that. Life is still happening. Remember, it's Evan, not coach. It's Evan.
Yeah.
What do we do next? You're enjoying Colorado. It's beautiful out there.
Yep. Enjoying Colorado. I'm trying to think. So can't forget Hurdle Tech. Hurdle Tech is a club that well, basically started as an informal club in Michigan where I was just basically coaching at Catholic Central, which is in Novi, Michigan, and then some of the hurdlers at Novi, some of the hurdlers at Northville, which is just the surrounding communities, and then just like little brothers and sisters. And so once I got to Colorado, it's I opened it up as like a side hustle.
What is this, like a
So I
club?
made yeah. So in Colorado, for better
Nice.
or worse, the club scene is oversaturated.
Mm,
Um, the a lot of schools are just outlets for their club. There's one, well, a
interesting.
few years ago, at least there was one major club that basically overran everything. Stepped on a lot of toes, but I think there's a little bit more filling of the space there. But what I saw was not very much hurdle development. And so I said, we can really make this happen. I basically just started a Coach Up account.
A what?
Not to, oh, it's a website called Coach Up, not to
Coach up?
Coach Up. Yeah. And so
Co-
you can
like
make an account.
like coach, COACH up UP?
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. Yeah, I've never heard of this. Okay.
So Yeah, so it's like a rover, you know what I mean? You can get paid to babysit, you can get paid to do this and that. Coach up is you can get paid to coach your kid one-on-one.
Oh,
Um, and so I basically would do one-on-one sessions with athletes, and eventually I found myself doing like a 4 hour session with four kids back to back on a Sunday, and I go, we got to be doing groups. So I started doing group training. We got to 25 kids, and then just kind of capped it there. And so Hurdle Tech was basically just like my outlet for serious hurdle
cool.
training once a week
Yeah.
on Sundays. And so the kids would show up, whoever showed up would get coached like that. And then during the season, I basically would shut that off and go coach my high school. And then
Right.
I would get to see them at meets and they'd do great and, high five them secretly. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I would definitely say that was part of the resume.
Hmm.
I felt incredibly confident training and building up hurdlers like that. I had a lot of experience as a head coach, coaching all levels of sprints, hurdles, and relays, to the 400, 4x1, 4x4, 100, 200, 60 dash, everything like that.
Hmm.
And basically, my principal said the wrong thing at the wrong time, and I started looking at job postings.
Did they piss you
And
off? Because we've been through this with the you're not going to run college, piss you off. We've been through this. What
well,
do you do?
Well, so I'm teaching and really, really owning my area, which again, I'm teaching those 5 sections of language
Right.
development. Before I got there, the stats looked like this. Once we got there, the stats started looking like this. We were
Nice.
getting kids through and up and out of the program. And so our numbers were looking really good. And then they had this initiative called Avid, and I'm not going to take a side for or against Avid, but I was basically asked to teach Avid. And it really took me out of my 3-person department. And we were like rocking and rolling. And so really upset me. And it was just the wrong day. And I just started looking at job postings, and Dubuque was hiring. And so I called, and the process just started moving.
Wow. Now you made that very simplistic, and what I mean by that is moving is you're married. You have
Mhm.
other people to concern yourself with. When we're single, I was single for all my coaching career. I just moved whenever the heck I wanted to. I coached for 10 years and I was at 5 different places because I was just like, oh, we're gonna go to Alabama now. Oh, we're gonna go to Kansas. Didn't matter, right? Now I can't imagine. I have a wife and 2 kids. I can't imagine move, I just there's way more factors. How did I mean that's Iowa, bro. That's not Colorado. I mean, first of all, you already did the big one going to Colorado. That's crazy. Now just no problem, just like it's Dubuque, Iowa, let's go.
Yeah. So there was definitely consultation that happened. My wife at the time worked for a company, and she was remote working. So
Ooh.
during COVID, there were a ton of those remote hires that happened. She got one of those jobs. And then I always make the joke that she was like the last World War II soldier out of Japan, like hiding in the forests, thinking that it's still happening when the war's been over for a long time. And so she just had one of those last remote jobs that she was clinging to. And so we were able to make the move to Iowa without her having to change really anything there.
That's cool.
Yep. And so definitely seen a different part of the country, obviously Midwest, but Iowa's a bit more Midwest than Detroit.
Yeah.
Then just getting a little bit closer to home, I'm starting to have nieces and nephews that are cropping up.
And very,
Yeah, is your battery dying? Your voice is you put on a voice changer for a second.
yeah, I think it said that I'm losing audio.
Okay. Can you still hear me? And you took those off. How about now? Can you
I
hear me
still
now?
got you in the headphones.
All right, we're good. So you moved not back to Iowa, you moved to Dubuque, Iowa.
Yep.
That's a little different. It's not Colorado.
No, but I'll tell you what, it could be a lot worse of a transition. Geographically, like Dubuque's in that driftless region. There's climbing, there's trail hiking, there's definitely things that I didn't expect Iowa to have.
Mhm.
You think rolling corn and you know what I mean, Casey's Pizza,
Yeah, yeah.
and and Dubuque's got a little bit more heartbeat to it than
Yeah,
I expected, which was a pleasant
yeah.
surprise.
And this is your first full-time college position.
Yes.
What's been the biggest, how would I want to ask this? What's been the biggest surprise for you? I mean, I know you were coaching there at Metro State, and that's a volunteer position, and I'm not putting that down by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not a full-time gig, so there
Mhm.
are differences. Gosh, there better be differences when you go to a full-time gig versus a volunteer position. What was some of the surprises of going full-time in the college world
Sure.
at a great program, by the way? I have a lot of respect for University of Dubuque.
Really good program. So, I mean, I think that's got to lead me into this is coming to the University of Dubuque, which has a solid reputation just as a track program. Not only are you expected to like carry that on, but I found out that this is way more of a sales job than I
Hmm.
thought.
How so?
Recruiting, just the act of recruiting,
Hmm.
is like truthfully 2/3 to 3/4 of my time spent
Hmm.
working.
Hmm.
You know, anybody can write a solid training plan. Anybody can fill a window of an acceleration type of workout.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things that you can do right and not hurt the kids. But sometimes people say it's not about the X's and O's, it's the Jimmys and Joes. So if you're
Hmm.
not getting fast athletes, talented athletes in the building, you're going to have to spend a lot more on development. So recruiting is a huge part of this job.
Hmm.
And essentially, it's a sales position. Hi, you want to pay X amount of money to come to my school? You know,
Hmm. How do
so I would
you?
say that was the biggest surprise.
That's interesting. 'Cause I agree. When I coached, like I said, I did it for a decade, 10 years. Recruiting was a big deal for that. Was I was a better recruiter than I was coach probably, and with that means you're gonna hear no more than you hear yes. And some people
Sure.
have that temperament that they can be okay with that, and others like. I don't know if I want to say they take it personally, but rejection's hard. And that's I understand it is for a lot of people. Sales is the same way.
Hmm.
We hear no a lot. Luckily, we hear yes a lot too. Thank goodness. Just like in recruiting, thank God you hear some yeses, right? That are out there. How do you? And maybe it's changed over. How long have you been at Dubuque now?
This is season 3, so
Three.
getting
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
outdoor of year 3.
And maybe it's changed over the last couple of years here. But how? Because you believe in where you wouldn't take the job if you didn't believe in the school and the other coaches on staff. You got a great head coach there. Um, you believe in the location. You have a lot of belief. And if you don't, it's pretty evident pretty quickly. You
Yeah,
will hear
it's
more
a tough
no.
sell if you don't believe what you're selling.
Yeah, and maybe not even a sell. Yeah, it's a con job maybe at that point. But because you're dealing with 17-year-old kids here, who are you to lie to them?
Right.
So you believe in it. So when you do hear no, it's a little like, wow, like how are you not seeing this? Like this is a great place. How have you maybe developed and changed and evolved in your accepting rejection? That's kind of
Yeah,
a
that's
clunky
a good
question,
question.
but
I got pretty thick skin as it is. I definitely like fell in love with my first like 5 recruits where I got
mm,
heartbroken when the people didn't commit, and it's like, why not? And it's like, a head coach is going, relax, you've got a lot more to go. And
mhm.
so at this point, if they're not coming, get off my recruiting sheet because I want to find and talk to the people that do want to come here. And
Right.
so yeah, basically they just get sloughed off. If they're not coming, then good luck. Good luck to you, like genuinely.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
that's a healthy way to look at it. That um, Dubuque's not for everybody. Just
Mhm.
like no one school's for everybody. But there are a lot of kids out there that Dubuque is the perfect school for them. Your job is to help identify that, by the way,
Sure.
and then go talk to those kids and try to help them see if it works out financially, location. A lot of factors go into it, majors, etc. Your job is not to convince whoever you think is the right person for Dubuque, and they're saying it's not. That's not your job. Is to convince them.
Mhm.
It's to find out is this the right place that solves some of their questions, and then show them those answers to those questions so they can see that. I don't know that you convince very many people, and I don't know that if you think you convince some people that they stay at your school either when they get there.
Sure. Yeah, they got
Um,
to it's got to be true. It's got to be
yeah.
true what you sold them, what you told them.
Yeah, yeah, not so much of that, but like I know, some coaches are like like because I got to keep every school out of my mouth on this one. Some coaches will be like, "Hey, this is the right school for you. I'm the right coach for you. Why don't you just give it a year? You'll find out." And then they get there, and it's like, "No, this ain't the school for me. I told you I didn't
Yeah,
want X, Y, and Z." And they leave, and the coach is just like, "How?" Like you were even if they're PR and whatever, what are the things that you think is success? Again, remember, track is this much of a kid's life. They have a whole life out there. Um, I just think if more coaches were open to being rejected, I think there would be less transfers in college
sure.
athletics and specifically college track and field. I think we're very competitive people. You're a very competitive person, Evan. You don't like to lose any of the recruits that you reach out to. I know that. But if you're okay with rejection of like, oh, first of all, they're not rejecting me. They're whatever, 17-year-old
Right.
kid for crying out loud. Whatever the decisions are, their decisions are. But I know there's another one out there. So I'm going to hang up that phone and pick up the next one to go see that one. I think you have a longer career in this profession. And I think I think you do have less transfers because the kids are still going to transfer. There's still many, many reasons why a kid might transfer. But I think you'll have less. And I think you have less in those because you can handle and you understand that you have a healthy understanding of your school as it relates in your program as it relates to again freaking high schoolers, man. They're 17 years old, bro.
Mhm.
I just have so
Right.
much grace for a freaking kid.
And I think, I mean, I think our recruiting style is like really genuine. Like if you look up to Dubuque, our sticker price is not cheap. So, I want it happens all the time where I'll get a kid on campus and they'll visit, they'll see everything, they'll have a meeting with me, we'll look at stuff, they'll say this was fantastic. Like if we were cheaper, like I'd definitely be coming to UD.
Mhm.
And so at that point, you're like, "Oh, okay, like I did all I
Right.
possibly can do." And so you walk away, you know, knowing that there'll be another one that comes through,
Mhm.
and you just got to keep nose to the grindstone.
Yeah, I think that's healthy because someone else would tell you, "Hey, Evan, you're not competitive enough. You got to tell that kid to get those student loans or whatever." And it's like, man, listen to yourself. I just
Hmm.
don't think that's healthy, bro. I just,
Right.
I just don't, man. Well, Evan, as you stare into season three and whatever the future, you get to define this question in regards to the future. What's got you excited about the future of UD of UD Hurdle Tech? I love that name, by the way. You knew I would because of Hurdles guy. Well, what's got you excited there as you look towards the future?
Yeah. Coming into UD, the program situation, the men's program was very, very good already. Um, Top 10 national program. The women's team just slightly behind. Um, Women's team needs more numbers, more depth. One of the things that I always believe in is leave things better than you found them. And so, as far as the men's team, I'm going to have to get them to be national champions in order to leave this place better than I found it.
Right.
On the women's side, we do have an opportunity to make quite the impact. For the past 2 years, I've said to the group, this is the best women's freshman class we've ever brought in. And based on recruiting, based on people who've already made housing deposits, I'm going to get to say that again next
Wow.
fall.
Yeah.
So really, really excited to where our women's program is heading. If they can be alongside the men, which that standard is, fighting for the conference championship every single year in the ARC, which is a tough conference, and then
Yeah.
sending 10, 12 to nationals every year. That's the standard we want to be holding.
Yeah. Um, I love that, man. I just think, we have a internal mantra here, healthy things grow. And so when you talk about, every year, this is the best class, this is the best class, that's a heck of a marker. If you're doing the job right, which you sound like you are, you're eventually going to get to the point where you can't say that because you've had, there's only so many number ones, right? That you
Yeah.
can, classes that you can have best ofs. There's only one on top of there. But I think, knowing other people that are on your staff, other coaches, and knowing the school, knowing former coaches, a good friend of mine is the former head coach there at UD. It's a really cool place, really special place, and one where consistency has occurred because of the coaches. I think of producing champions of good, fast, far throwing. I mean, it's been all the events too, which is kind of interesting as well. I think you had a
Mhm.
great spot, and I think you probably see that now. Maybe not that you didn't before, but as you can appreciate it more as you're going into year three.
Well, it really felt like big shoes to fill. I mean, you come in, you got a 400 hurdle national champion in your first year. you didn't build that.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got a national runner-up in the 60 hurdles, two different athletes. You didn't build that. So you got to have humility and come in going, well, there's been culture established here. I'm gonna learn before I start changing everything. And so that's kind of been my MO too, is I like to watch and observe. I don't like to turn the tables over. Year three is definitely where I'm finding far more of an authoritarian voice, but our culture is definitely where I want it at this point.
I love it, man. Evan,
Yep.
one of the most valuable things you can give me is your time, brother. And so I'm just so grateful for you sitting down with us, sharing your journey with us. It's really unique. Again, I thought when I first started this 7 seasons ago, after the first 100 different coaches, I will have heard every possible way to become a track coach. I am at 350 something, and you know what? You got me today. I have never heard of that style of what you went through, what you put yourself through, things that happened to you that were outside of your control. And what I love about it, it's kind of a terrible movie. When you watch a movie, you're not supposed to know how it ends, and then you get surprised on how it ends. Well, we already know how it ends, meaning today you are the assistant coach at University of Dubuque. So we know it all turns out well, but hearing your journey and the setbacks that you had and that you didn't let stop you, that to me is the real story of a coach, and specifically of you. And what I love is how you're taking this passion that you found early with the hurdles and this passion of helping others into coaching. I mean, what you did in Colorado, what you did up in Detroit area when you were doing the high school stuff, where you even got your degree. That's really special, man. The positive impact that you're making on young people, it's immeasurable, brother. And I'm really grateful for you and glad that you went to track and not baseball.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I was way faster at base running than I was at hitting balls. That's for sure.
Hey, some people get paid millions to do that, by the way. And hopefully one day you'll make millions coaching track and field, because that's what we deserve. Dude, you taught me a lot today. This is a lot of fun for me. I love I love your uniqueness. I love this 92. 92 is 50% of 99. That's really interesting to me. I love that. So, Evan, thank you so much, man. I am grateful for your time today. Your openness and authenticity was breathtaking. I'm really grateful for you.
I appreciate you having me on. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. This one will go down in a big memory of mine. I don't get to remember all 350 plus episodes anymore because I'm just getting old out there. This one will stick with me for a while. This was a lot of fun. When a coach comes on here and can really showcase their humility, and most do, to be real frank with you, I think we get something special out of it. And so, putting Evan on the spot there with the poem, he could have easily bowed out and just said, no, Mike, move on. And I'm just so glad he did share that, because I love the people who become track coaches, not necessarily the coach. I love Evan, not necessarily Coach Gerish. That's for his athletes to love, right? I love the people who could go do many, many things. You could see from hearing his background, this man could have gone on and done many amazing things in this world. His teaching of the language to others, that changed people's lives. They were able to do a lot of cool things because of that. And yet he decided to become a track and field coach, and that fuels me. It fuels our company, fuels my family. And so definitely grateful for that, and grateful for you guys being here listening. So appreciate you joining us here this week. Don't forget, you guys go out and build better people, and we'll build better equipment. Have a great week, everybody.